The hard truth about New Year's resolutions is that they're meant to be forgotten. It feels amazing to sit down, pen in hand, and write out everything we want to achieve in the year ahead. That little dopamine rush from jotting down bullet points about leveling up our careers, fitness, and social life can be addictive. But by the time that January comes around, the holidays are over, and life goes back to normal, we all lose sight of these objectives. Because while it's easy to imagine yourself as a changed person, actually doing the work that makes the change happen, that's the hard part. But I'm determined to change that. In this video, I'm dusting off my New Year's resolution, checking in on where I stand and recalibrating my goals so that by when December rolls around, I can confidently say that 2025 was the best year ever. And if you stick with me till the end of the video, I'll share the one big thing that more than anything else determines whether you're gonna achieve your objectives or if they'll just get lost in a drawer somewhere. Yep, there we are, the mother lode. We found them. I have an addiction to journals. It has to be in here somewhere. Nope. I already know it's not in this one, but I'm gonna look at it anyway because it's one of my favorite notebooks. Nope, this one hasn't even been opened. Really old. It might be this one actually. Let's see. Haha! Yup, there we go. Pietro's 2025 New Year's resolution. As per my usual, these notes are kind of a mess. But if I try and squint really hard enough, I think I can divide these points into 4 main categories: work, health and fitness, social media, and finances. Not exactly in order of importance, but pretty close. And looking through them now, I can already see 2 problems. But let's first go through them one by one, starting with work. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Pietro, and I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Antwerp, where I'm studying asset poverty and wealth inequality in the United States and the European Union. What I've quickly learned in the last year is that PhD life has basically no structure. Deadlines are far away and nobody is really checking on you, so you have to be super responsible for your own progress, or else you risk getting stuck. But that's a topic for another video. To be honest, I was initially very worried about this lack of structure. But besides a few hiccups, I've been doing mostly okay. And I think that's because I truly love my research subject. So you may ask, Pietro, what were your goals for your PhD in 2025? Well, the first one was to achieve 3 academic publications. And so far I have 1 peer-reviewed journal publication that came out in January, a second paper submitted for review to a journal, and that will come out as a working paper in November, and a 3rd paper that I'm working on in the pipeline. So let's say I'm not too far off. But for the second goal I wrote down, publish in a top 5 journal. Yeah, that one might have been a little bit too ambitious for year 2 of my PhD. If you don't know about the top 5 journals, they're practically the most prestigious places where you can get your academic research published. In economics, they are the American Economic Review, Econometrica, Journal of Political Economy, Quarterly Journal of Economics, and the Review of Economic Studies. But yeah, getting published there is no easy feat. Even some Nobel laureates took decades before appearing in these journals. So let's just say we're pushing that one off to next year. Now, I wish I could say that things are going just as well for my fitness journey, but honestly, I practically forgot about all of these objectives. And while since the start of the year I've been going to the gym more consistently, that's because I set up this weird incentive structure with my friends where if one of us skips a workout, they owe coffee to everyone else. But it was kind of genius because creating a cost to laziness was the perfect way to ensure accountability. But the real problem has been that I have no objective I'm training towards. You know, things like a competition or a race. And without a goal, my motivation for improvements started dropping fast. And this has been especially the case for what concerns eating healthy, which is even more important than exercising. So for the remainder of the year, I just think I'm gonna stick to the objectives that I had written before, but also forgotten. Which means training 4 times a week, going twice to the gym and twice for a run, try and meal prep for the week for the days I'm in the office, so that I don't fall off track and also so I can save some money. Limit alcohol to 1 night per week, which is totally doable. And possibly the toughest thing for me, only go to eat out or have takeout twice a week. What I've understood from my objectives is that in this case, saying I want to be healthier just doesn't cut it. So hopefully these set of goals are measurable and will help me stay accountable to my progress. But we'll look at the practical steps of how I plan to remain accountable in just a minute. That's because I want to talk about my goals regarding social media. Since you're watching this video, you might not be too surprised to know that I'm a big fan of content creation. I've been making videos since I was a freshman in university in 2018, mostly about politics and economics. And I've gotten some decent results. And over time, this experience as a part-time content creator has allowed me to become a paid economics author for a big Italian media company. And I've also been invited to collaborate with some big players like the European Commission and progressive parties. But for what regards my personal channels, so far I've been winging it, making content sporadically, only when I feel inspired, rather than having a proper strategy. And what's even worse is that when a video I post does decently well, I tend to just sit back and enjoy the success and stop posting for a while, rather than doubling down on content production and trying to capitalize on the success. So for what regards my goals on social media for 2025, I think my initial idea of getting 10,000 followers on both Instagram and TikTok is a little ambitious but also doable. But let's try adding 2 more. First of all, getting monetized on YouTube. And great news, you can help me with that by scrolling down, putting a like on the video, and also clicking subscribe. And the second new objective will be to post twice a week. Because honestly, what I've learned in these years doing social media for other people is that it's all rinse and repeat. If I can stick to a posting schedule and improve by 1% at a time, I know things will eventually pick up. Last, but certainly not least, it's time to talk about my financial goals for 2025. How do you do this? This is the one category that on paper, at least, I feel the most confident in. I want to make a whole separate video about my approach to personal finance, so I won't go too deep into detail. But what I will say is that in the last year and a half, I've had a good enough financial situation to where I've been able to build a fully funded emergency fund, and on top of that, put away consistently every month a good chunk of change into investments. And honestly, there's not much more I could ask for. Personal finance should be boring, and it is. But I have a slight issue with how lazy I've been once again with tracking my progress. See, I always tell people about the importance of creating a budget for yourself and tracking your spending. But I also tend to do that quite a bit, which means that once again, I'm not able to see if I'm sticking to my budget or just getting lucky. I mean, it hasn't been a disaster and I'm in a good economic situation. But the fact is, if I want to make sure that I'm not being wasteful, I need to do more than just saving and spending blindly. Which means that for the last 2 months of the year, November and December, I'm committing myself to tracking all of my spending. And honestly, this might be the most difficult thing yet. As I look back at all the goals that I've had for this year, I think 2 problems stick out to me. Number 1 has to be that after acknowledging my starting position, point A, and realizing what I wanted to achieve, point B, I never really worried about how to get from one point to the other. And maybe in a related way, the second problem is that I never tracked my progress. But I think I know how to solve it. I just need some pen and paper. The first essential tool to make sure I achieve my goals will be a habit tracker. Now, I'm sure you can build it yourself or find the downloadable link for Notion template or Excel. But as you've noticed, I always tend to have a little notebook in my pocket everywhere I go. So that's why I opted for a physical version, even though this one is not exactly pocket-sized. The setup is super simple. It's just 2 pages, one for daily goals and one for weekly, with each column representing a specific goal. Then on the side, I also include a little line chart to help me understand how much overall progress I've made. I think this is kind of fun because although it's more paperwork, it does turn my life into some sort of video game, and hopefully I'll be incentivized to continuing leveling up over time. At the same time, a habit tracker is only part of the solution. When I've tried to track my progress previously, see this April 2025, it honestly felt like a chore. And as you can see, I quickly forgot about it, alongside with the entirety of my New Year's resolution, which takes us to the second part of my strategy, having a well-structured calendar. I honestly can't believe I'm saying these things because adult life is so boring. But if you want to be productive, I don't think there's any other way to go about it. So bear with me, it's hard for me as well. Take some time on Sundays before your week starts to look at everything you want to achieve in the coming week. That means figuring out when you can do things like going to the gym or going for a run, which evenings you want to see your friends, if you have important meetings, when to set them during the week so they don't disturb your sessions of deep focus. But honestly, I would even schedule things that I want to happen semi-recurringly, like calling your relatives back home or reaching out to your long-distance friends. Because these are things you might not put on your New Year's resolution, but that can really make a difference. And last but not least, I know we all want to be super productive and achieve all of our goals, hopes, and dreams, but you can't do that unless you schedule some time also to do nothing. Just relax, unwind, recoup your energy, and even just get a good 8 hours of sleep to make sure you start your next day in the best possible condition. You know you're almost at the end of the year when the days are starting to get insanely short. You know there's that saying, aim for the moon, shoot for the stars? Well, for a long time I really believed it. Meaning that if you choose a super ambitious goal that you know it's unlikely you will reach, you'll at least at the end find yourself somewhere in between where you started and that goal. But over the last year, I've realized something different. When you only focus on a big objective without splitting it into manageable steps, it's very unlikely that you'll be actually moving forward. While it's super important to be ambitious, it's even more important to have systems in place that will help you meet that ambition with action. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be focusing on for these last 2 months of 2025. If you want to stay updated on a weekly basis with my progress, you can follow me on my other social media channels. So hopefully some of you will keep me accountable. I hope to see you next time in a video in a more sunny Brussels. Ciao!